All right, returning now to one of our top stories today, the latest snapshot of the U.S. economy added just 175,000 new jobs in April. That was below economists' expectation. It was also far below what we saw the month prior. The unemployment rate, that ticked higher slightly to 3.9%. Let's bring in CNN's Matt Egan. So, Matt, you have unemployment ticking up, you have job growth slowing down, and you have the markets apparently liking what they see. What's happening here?
Well, Rahel, we learned that the jobs market, maybe it's not a runaway train after all, because 175,000 jobs added. I mean, in any other environment, that's a fine number, but this jobs market has been so hot that this actually qualifies for a cool down, right? I mean, this is almost half the pace that we saw in March. It was slower than expected. In many ways, this does look like the Goldilocks jobs report that Wall Street was rooting for, that the Fed was rooting for, that maybe even the White House was rooting for, right? Not too hot, not too cold. And we see that play out in the wage numbers, right? We saw annual average earnings up by 3.9% year over year. Now, that is the first time it's been below 4% in almost 3 years. So that is a good thing from the sense that it's going to make the Fed less worried when it comes to inflation. But at the same time, 3.9%, that's not a terrible number. We know inflation's running at 3.5%. So that means that paychecks are still growing faster than prices. That is good news for workers. And this kind of report and these numbers, they do keep alive hopes on Wall Street that the Fed is going to be able to start lowering interest rates. Not right now, right? Probably not in June, but maybe later this year if inflation continues to cool off as it has been, although that progress has been kind of leveling out. One other point here, though, Rahel, is the historic nature here. The unemployment rate, yes, it did tick up to 3.9%, but it's still below 4%. And this is now tied for the longest streak in U.S. history where the unemployment rate is below 4%. You have to, anything matching this, you have to go back to the one in 1967 to 1970. So more than a half a century ago. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but to that rate cut debate, Citi said something earlier that caught my attention, that the job slowdown keeps summer cut on the table. So that certainly seems like that investors like to hear that. Matt, while I have you on a separate topic, we're hearing that Trump's media accounting company has apparently been accused of a massive fraud. What are you learning?
Yeah, we're talking about B.F. Borgers. The SEC just accused B.F. Borgers of, quote, widespread fraud and operating what they described as a, quote, sham audit mill. Now, among other things, the SEC says that B.F. Borgers, they fabricated audit documentation. They had deliberate and systemic failures. Now, this is noteworthy because even though B.F. Borgers is not a household name, it is the accounting firm that is used by hundreds of companies, including Trump Media, the owner of Truth Social. Now, we should note the SEC did not allege that Trump Media had any wrongdoing here. Trump Media, Truth Social, Donald Trump, none of them mentioned here in the SEC charges. But this action from the SEC effectively shuts down the accounting firm of Trump Media, right? They've been permanently suspended from doing business before the SEC. So that means public companies like Trump Media, they're going to have to go out and look for a new accounting firm. We reached out to Trump Media, and they say they are going to do just that. They say that they look forward to working with new accounting partners in accordance with today's SEC order. Rahel, this is just the latest development in the Trump Media saga, where this stock price has gone up, it's gone down. Donald Trump's gotten more and more shares. His stake in his company is worth billions and billions of dollars. And now we learn that his accounting firm has been accused by the SEC of widespread fraud.
Yeah, certainly raising a lot of eyebrows, if for no other reason, because of that judgment in New York, because of the Trump company sort of inflating the value of its assets. Just certainly something that adds to, as you say, the cloud surrounding the companies. Matt Egan, live for us in New York. Matt, thank you.
Thanks, Rahel.